When the news of Alpha getting sidelined hit the timeline, PRX were instantly expected to win this series. Fnatic lost Alpha, their best players so far, and on paper, this was the freest ticket to the top 4. But somehow, in a heartbreaking fashion,
I think he knows where Forsaken is at, but
PRX still lost. And the reason why might feel a little too familiar. Stick with me here. This was supposed to be a banger match between PRX and Fnatic. But the sudden announcement of Alpha's absence, I hate to say it, it kinda ruined the vibe. With Alpha supposedly in the game, I was treating this as a litmus test on how PRX would do against one of the top teams in the tournament. But with the news about Alpha, I dropped the idea because what's the point, right? Anyway, the whole Alpha situation is unfortunate. You hate to see a player go down, but I guess with how things turned out, it actually went okay for Fnatic. Okay in the sense that they won, but you still got to worry about how Alpha is doing. Now, let's talk about PRX. Everybody thought that this was going to be an easy win for PRX, and I guess the boys thought it too, because it looked like they have underestimated Fnatic. Did anyone else thought this too, or am I tripping? But this is not the only reason as to why they lost, and we're talking more about that later. Whatever the case may be, I thought that PRX should have dominated. There were no excuses. Fnatic had to fly in a sub with only like 4 hours of preparation. Fnatic lost their top guy. I was thinking that they would close it out early, but then they actually lost. I mentioned earlier about the litmus test, and we just got what we're looking for, and things are not looking good. Even in their map when on bind, things looked shaky. On Haven, they were owned so badly by a team playing with a sub, and like I said earlier, the guy only have the smallest time of preparation. And on Lotus, this has got to be the most infuriating match I have ever seen. The boys were up at the half 9-3. I reckon this would have been a larger lead if they played their last 2 rounds cleanly, but that's fine. Surely the next half will be easy, right? Right? The most frustrating part is the boys are uncharacteristically losing a lot of duels. And this is what I was talking about on the video I posted earlier. I was worried about the form the boys were in despite beating G2. I talked about some of the boys needing to step up, but I didn't say anything about stepping down. Like something. What is this, man? Well, I guess a bad game is bound to happen sooner or later. I just hope this does not break his confidence. And patmen is consistently producing the same 0.80 plus rating, but man, we need more than that. Now fans are left asking, how did you lose to Fnatic Light? And the thing about it is that the way they let a Fnatic without Alpha get back into Lotus, it looks like the cracks in what's supposed to be PRX's dynasty are now starting to show. So besides underestimating Fnatic without Alpha, what actually caused this loss? Because this wasn't about strategies, it wasn't about missing pieces. No, this was something we've seen from PRX before. Something old, something familiar. And that's when it hit me. PRX didn't got outplayed, they got in their own heads. The PRX train didn't break because of Fnatic, it broke because of an old familiar friend. But still credit to Fnatic, even though without their top guy, they still performed and they actually made it work. So props to them. But like I'm saying, this is all too familiar. At the early stages of the match, we can already see the boys faltering.
Put it to good use. And what calls to juggle these weapons around? Moment to moment.
And I thought that it was just nothing. But as Lotus came to an end, it finally hit me. I was like, oh, okay. I understand it. I get it. That's actually what happened.
Finding even more! It is just patmen left now! As Boaster sets it up and Chronicle hits the slam dunk!
So, if you're still not getting where I'm going at with this, then let me spell it out. Like something just can't get going for some reason. There were just too many duels that they were losing.
Chronicle just disrespects, pushes forward, finds himself a second, and Boaster gets something!
There were plays that you have seen before that they've won, but for some reason they can't win anything on this match.
Two-player advantage now as Boaster going to be taken down. Chronicle try to fight back, but barrel stuff here from Jing. It gets some damage, but it does not get the kills.
I've said it before in my previous videos, no one can beat PRX but PRX themselves. And this match just proves that. I truly believe that no one can beat PRX head on. In my opinion, you just wait for them to implode. And implode they did on this match. Boaster was the perfect mastermind to exploit this, and again, credit where credit is due. Boaster and co didn't quit despite Alpha not being there, and they were rewarded big time. Again, PRX had the freest matchup of the tournament and still managed to fumble it. Call it nerves, call it collapse, call it what it is. The old PRX showed up the moment pressure came knocking. The silver lining is that this wasn't a do or die match, and I guess it's actually fortunate that it happened now rather than later, when nothing could be done about it. For now, they can reset, go back to the drawing board, figure out what went wrong, find solutions, and do their best to make sure it doesn't happen again. And hopefully, the train could start running again smoothly and on the way to the trophy. So I recorded that first part of the video right after PRX lost to Fnatic. And now that I have done some contemplating, the tilt, the frustrations are gone, and I was able to have a clear head on what happened. Here are some additional thoughts that I have about it. Someone said that things get hard when the pressure is on you, and this is what the match looked like. And if you think about it, on Toronto, no one paid attention to them that much. Teams were busy trying to find a way to beat the then tournament favorites, which I think was the Fnatic and G2. Now that they're the favorites, all eyes are on them, and their every move is on the spotlight. The counter strats go even harder, even down to the tendencies, and it gets harder to play your usual game. So again, I had time to think about the match, and underestimating might not be the right word, but it could be more of a chain of events that actually cost them the victory. And the first chain was that I think they became complacent. And naturally so, because the other team's top guy is gone. Then that complacency led to the team having less focus. And when things got messy, they panicked, and as a result, they rushed things. And at the end of Lotus, all of these things culminated in the team choking. This is also why they lost duels that they obviously should have won. The boys are known for having the best aim, but these things that I said earlier also affects that. Especially when you're not in the best mental space at the moment, no matter how good you think your aim is, in high pressure situations, it all comes down to the mental. So when the mind is not in top form, things like this tend to happen. And just the stupid stuff I thought about while contemplating on this. Do you guys remember that Zeta game back in Pacific where PRX lost? I don't know how, but it somehow came to me that this loss to Fnatic is low-key kinda like that. W Gaming is so allergic to overwhelming odds of winning that they ended up losing. So back to that match. Somewhere along the way, they lost their bite. They were in a lot of winnable situations, but they couldn't close them out. Anyway, with that, let's move on to the PRX versus Heretics match. It's really nice to see the boys winning in Ascent 2 in a row. As always, they make their bag on the attack side. I was a bit nervous early, but then I realized it was Ascent, so yeah. They're not one of the top teams if we're talking about Ascent, but now, I think teams can just pick Ascent against PRX and think it's going to be a breeze. I just hope they can tweak stuff on their defense side, because although their attack side is really strong, we're deep in the tournament and surely there will be some counter strats coming up. Especially that the next match is up against DRX, a team that also thrives on the attack side of the map. If this gets picked, I have a feeling that it will be a crazy epic match. Now moving on to Bind, it was really tough to watch. They had such a nice lead but they kinda let it go. Hopefully the tandem of Alex and Mini can find a solution on how the team could hold those huge leads and convert it into map wins. Because if ever they go to the finals, they're already at a disadvantage with the double map bans. So for me, I think at this point on, every round counts. Especially since every team seems allergic to PRX's home turf of Sunset. And then on the last map of Lotus, I was mouthing at first but I realized again they were starting on attack, which is their weaker side statistically. So they just needed to kind of hold on and win maybe 4 to 5 rounds and then hold the fort on defense. Suddenly, the PRX that won in Toronto is back and they just straight up destroyed Heretics and didn't look back. They won 12 rounds in a row, sending Heretics home in the process. So GG's to Heretics, and with that out of the way, let's move on and look how things would go in the RX Derby. So let's look at the PRX versus DRX matchup. This is their like head-to-head comparisons. Something is again at the top, and then followed by Flashback, then Forsaken and Mako. These four will be the top stars. If you see the stats, basically PRX should win the match. Now I'm gonna try to predict what the map Veto would look like. Basically, DRX is going to ban Lotus. They're so bad at Lotus. They lost 3 times in here, so definitely auto ban. Oh no, no. I'm pretty sure they have been perma banning Sunset, so they would ban Sunset. PRX would ban Abyss, of course, definitely, because DRX is 3-0 on Abyss. After that, we now see that Lotus is open. PRX has a good time on Lotus. Pretty sure they're gonna pick this. And for DRX, it's gonna be kind of tricky because they're strong on bind, but they can do like something like a bait and switch here where they could pick Haven off of the performance that PRX did against Fnatic. I think PRX's Haven right now is not in form. Maybe DRX would take a gamble on that. I can see that happening. And then DRX is currently undefeated on bind, but I think this could go 50-50, you know. To reduce the chances, I think they could go Haven. And then for the next set, PRX is going to ban Corrode. Yeah, I think PRX would ban Corrode. And then DRX would then ban, I think they would go bind rather than Ascent. So the maps will be Lotus, Haven, and bind. This is hard to predict, whatever, man. Let's go back at the stats and see what can we draw out from here. This is somewhat false now because patmen, the last game against Heretics, did a good job. I think he's like 1 point something. 1.06 if I'm not mistaken. So it looks like things are looking up for patmen, and I hope it continues to be like that. The same goes for Davai as well. He had a monster game and and the reason behind is so funny as well. It's because he doesn't want to be a tour guide for his family, because he booked the flights for them to watch him in the playoffs.
And today I was telling the boys, like, guys, we have to win today. Like, I don't want to be a tour guide because I mean I've been here for quite some times, and being a tour guide after a tough loss wouldn't be fun. And especially my mom said that she came here, she gonna come here to watch the game, not really like to have a vacation. So I want to make that like her dream come true. So yeah.
Forsaken is now here. Forsaken has now climbed up after a slow start, and he's healing this first kills and first deaths gap. And yeah, I think he's getting into form now. Anyway, we're in the top 4 now. Only a few games left remaining. Hopefully the boys can push through and go above and beyond their limits. And if they do that, man, there's no argument that this team is now actually the GOATed team of all time. I'm pretty sure people would agree with me on that. No one has done like winning Masters and then Champions consecutively. Hopefully the boys can push through. Send them your energy like always. What do you think of Champs Paris so far? Has it exceeded your expectations, or do you feel like something is missing? I'll see you guys in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed, hit that sub button so you don't miss out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.